Brookborough was the meeting place today for all the lodges in Fermanagh. There were about 110 lodges taking part and about 90 bands on the route, including several from Donegal, Cavan and Monaghan.
It's 300 years now since the Battle of Enniskillen, an important anniversary for the Orange Order in Fermanagh. The lodges traditionally come together at just one venue in the county every year on the 12th. This year it was Brookborough, where this afternoon more than 100 lodges marched on the 1.5-mile route. Like the 90 bands taking part, most of the lodges were from Fermanagh itself. But there were also several regular visitors, mainly from Donegal, Cavan and Monaghan, and a flute band from Scotland. Thousands of people were out to watch the march through the small town, and as it turned onto the main Lisnaskea road, many had vied for space in the embankment to the point where the march turned into the field. There, the Reverend Gerald Sproul from Banbridge, though formerly a minister in Ballina-Mallard, held a religious service. The county's new Grand Master, Eddie Elliott, who succeeded Colonel George Little, who died in the 12th last year, addressed the crowd. There he told them his concern for what he called the reduction in security at the Lackey Bridge security post in Fermanagh, which he said would undoubtedly add to the level of terrorist activity in the county.
And now we go to County Tyrone, where the biggest gathering of Orange men and bands was held at Donamanagh.
The small and predominantly loyalist village of Donamanagh, with an estimated population of just around 1,000, was the venue for the annual 12th parade for County Tyrone. From early in the day, Orangemen from Omagh, Fintona, 6 Mile Town, Killen, Newton Stewart and Strabane gathered. It's estimated that there were 60 lodges in attendance. Around 2,500 Orangemen marched through the village. It was Killen's turn to lead the parade. They played host last year. Strains of the traditional pipe band filled the air. They made up the largest contingent. Among them the Eden Pipe Band, recent winners of the All-Ireland Championships in Newcastle. 2 years ago, they held a world title. There's been a growth in the area of the number of flute bands. Accordions and a silver band entertained the onlookers as they made their way to the field for the annual resolutions and address.
County Down's biggest demonstration was at Loch Brickland. The organisers there said the field they'd chosen had been used by King William to review his troops before the Battle of the Boyne.
100 Orange lodges from Newry, Banbridge and surrounding areas marched through Loch Brickland to the music of 50 bands. At the Lochside Assembly Field, Orangemen, bandsmen and their families heard the MP for the area, Harold McCusker, pay tribute to the tolerance of the nationalists of Keady. He said they had let their minority community, the Orangemen, march in their hometown on this 12th. And he proposed a way forward out of the current political deadlock. The announcement that it would take a 70% majority vote before the constitutional link between Britain and Northern Ireland could be broken. It would, he said, be the same majority that the government had insisted on for political progress in the Assembly.
Why should in Northern Ireland 50% plus 1 of the population be able to take us out of the United Kingdom, when you and I know that 70% now can barely keep us in the United Kingdom? Why couldn't they accept that for any constitutional change ever to occur, it would require that same weighted majority? I just happen to believe that if such a proposition was accepted, it would relieve so many people in this province of their worries that we might be able to make political progress.
The major demonstration for County Londonderry was at Portrush. Thousands of people turned out in the sun to watch 80 bands and lodges march to the field there.
The parades in Portrush were the biggest for many years. 80 bands and lodges turned out for the walk through the seaside town. They were joined along the route by many thousands of onlookers, many of them enjoying a holiday away from home. At the field, the heat was taking its toll among young and old alike. One of the youngest marchers was little John Allen, who says he's 4.5. He's the Lambeg drummer with the Nelson Drive Flute Band from Londonderry. His drum might have been small, but he could still make plenty of noise. At the other end of the age scale was Joe Black, at 94, the oldest man on the march.
Oh, it must be about 70. I think it was maybe about 19 and 20.
Have you ever missed a year?
Well, I missed a year. Missed a couple of years when I was abroad. Almost 3 years, I think. I was in Canada and in the States. Almost 3 years then. When I walked in the States, I didn't miss the 12th in the States for a walk way Baltimore 43 Lodge.
Portrush hosted 5 districts from Londonderry, along with Limavady, McCuskewin and Coleraine. The main speaker was the Reverend Robert Dickinson, a former Presbyterian moderator and Londonderry City Grand Chaplain.
Well, I think it's been a very large turnout as far as one can see. Certainly we had a very good turnout in the city of Londonderry before we left, and there seems to be a marvellous crowd here, and certainly there's been a marvellous crowd of people in the town.
On the 27th of May at 7 o'clock. Now at 6 o'clock, the regional news with Paul Clark.
It's sunshine all the way as Orange men celebrate the 12th. The controversial Keady parade passes off without any incidents. And he's back. Charles Haughey is re-elected Taoiseach. Good evening. Well, the sun shone as thousands of Orange men paraded to 19 venues across the province today to mark the 299th anniversary of the Battle of the Boyne. Tonight we'll have reports from Keady in County Armagh, Brookborough in Fermanagh, Ballymena, Portrush, Cookstown, Lochbrickland and Rasharkin. But our first report is from today's biggest demonstration in Belfast. Jeannie Johnston now reports.
The Belfast parade takes more than 2¼ hours to pass by, with almost 300 lodges and 100 bands taking part. This year it's the turn of number 2 district to head the parade. In honour of the occasion, many of the bands were sporting new uniforms. Every member of the Rising Sons of Donaghadee flute band who escort Primrose Temperance raised money for the new rig-out. The procession had left Carlisle Circus at 10 o'clock, and soon after the sun came out, but at least one young man was praying for rain. Dundonald schoolboy Warren Rainey was heading the John McIlveen Memorial Lodge, wearing the original uniform worn by the man himself around 1914. John McIlveen had been a recruiting sergeant in the Young Citizen Volunteers during the Home Rule crisis, and it seems that young men in those days weren't so well fed as they are today.
They needed someone of a certain size, 33-inch chest, 28-inch waist, and Warren sort of fitted the bill, with the exception of the length of the leg, which we altered. The corps was nicknamed the Chocolate Soldiers, basically because not only of the colour of the uniform, but the main element of the corps were all, shall we call them, gentlemen's sons. They were clerks, chaps who worked in offices and people like that. So they were regarded as sort of slightly upper class, middle class, you know. And subsequently they got the name the Chocolate Soldiers.
How does the uniform feel? Bit scratchy, warm. Very hot. So how do you think it's going to be tomorrow on the road up to Edenderry?
Well, I just hope it rains.